All right, we now have our correspondent Frank Contreras back on the line. Frank, we have already caught some shots of really small tidal bore along the Amazon River. So what are we seeing today? Is it big, the tide? Well, I'm afraid Frank has some problem hearing us. Frank. Frank, glad that you can join us.
Hi, yes, Beijing, I can hear you now. CCTV correspondent Frank.
Good. Frank, this is Wang Yizhi in Beijing. We have already seen some residents along the river, and it might be a very common occurrence for them, but for us and for our viewers around the world, this might be a very natural spectacle. Tell us, what are we seeing today along the river?
Well, we're here to report on a natural phenomenon known as a tidal bore. Briefly, a tidal bore is when the direction of a wave comes from the ocean and reverses the flow of a major river. Like the one behind us here, we'd like to show you some of the banks of this river. The water has been rising now in recent days, and rain activity has been increasing as well as the Pororoca approaches. The Pororoca wave is a wave, as I said, that reverses the flow of this river behind me, known as the Araguari River. And so in these days, we've been expecting that the tidal bore wave, which sometimes measures 4 to 5 meters in height, was expected to hit sometime on April 10th. That would be tomorrow when we're broadcasting to you. But actually, we were told that today, earlier this morning, a CCTV Mandarin correspondent was able to see a wave that was somewhere around 2 meters in height. And so Pororoca waves, as they're known here in this part of the world, are starting to come in. The tidal bore phenomenon is starting to take place. We're going to be bringing you live coverage of that when that hits on April 10th and 11th. And we'll continue to give you live coverage from here, explaining what people are doing to observe this natural phenomenon. It's really quite an amazing thing that we're going to be broadcasting to you live. And, you know, what local surfers are doing, in fact, to enjoy the waves themselves.
Of course. And it's said that the tides will be getting bigger and bigger in the following days. So what can we expect to see tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow, we're told that the wave could actually double in size. Today, as I said, reports came in saying that the wave was around 2 meters. So if it doubles, imagine a wave 4 to perhaps 5 meters in height tomorrow. And so it's going to be quite strong. Now, a number of surfers have come from around Brazil to enjoy this natural phenomenon and take out their surfboards. On Tuesday, earlier this week, we were actually able to observe a celebration that the surfers put together here. They said they were here to give honor to a sacred element on this planet, water, something that's very important, they said, something that all of us need, and something that's in quite a great amount of water here in this part of the world. And so we saw surfers painting themselves almost African style. Remember that the African cultural presence here is very strong in the mix of what is the Brazilian culture. And they were here on a ceremony making preparations to ride the waves when they hit on April 10th. And so we'll be seeing more of the surfers, of course, as the days go on here, giving you these live reports from the Araguari River in northeastern Brazil.
Frank, since you mentioned surfers, tell us the differences between surfing on the sea, on an ocean, and surfing along the Amazon River on a tidal bore.
Well, we're told from a surfer's point of view, it's really quite an amazing difference, primarily because these waves, you can ride them for more than 20 minutes if you're strong enough. The world record last we heard was somewhere around 36 minutes on a board surfing like this. Can you imagine doing that for 36 minutes? It's quite an amazing thing. You're on your board moving across the jungle, and you get quite a spectacular view of this part of the Amazon jungle from a surfboard. And so, of course, that's a very different experience than riding a board out in the ocean anywhere in the world, where perhaps the longest you could hope to ride is 30 seconds up to a minute, maybe a couple of minutes if you're a really good surfer. But out here, we're talking about 20-minute long surfing waves. And of course, that is quite an experience for the people who've come to surf on this part of the Amazon.
Of course. I'm not sure whether you can, but do try, Frank. That was our correspondent, Frank Contreras, along the Amazon River. All right.